Michter's 10-year bourbon is back for 2023, a bottle from Michter's that wasn't released last year in 2022. What does remain though is a high price tag, a lower proof, and limited availability. Will this be the year Michter's becomes worth the chase? Come right back, it's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, help grow the channel for 2023. Appreciate the support, everybody. So, Michter's has brought back the 10-year bourbon this year. I still think it's one of the most unique and prettiest bottles in bourbon. This is a really nice bottle. It's super unique, the shape, you know, there's just really nothing like it. So what we will do today is talk about the reasons why it wasn't released last year and what made this year's worthy of a release. But before we do that, let's hear from today's video sponsor, backed by popular demand. It is ZBiotics. Today's sponsor is the amazing ZBiotics, the prebiotic I've been using behind the scenes for a while now. With all the great feedback from viewers, it's really become the first drink of the night for a better tomorrow. So how does this stuff work so well? ZBiotics was developed by some very, very smart scientists who knew the real problem is not dehydration. It's actually a byproduct of alcohol, which is most responsible for rough mornings after drinking. Now, ZBiotics produces an enzyme like the ones your liver uses to break down this byproduct. Anytime I know I'm gonna have a few drinks or samples or do some blind tastings, I take ZBiotics, and the next day I could wake up, I could get to work, I could get to the gym, and bounce back faster than ever. All you do is drink one of these little beauties about an hour before you start drinking, and that's it. You should still drink water to stay hydrated, and as always, get a good night's sleep, but ZBiotics will make it a lot easier for you to get out of bed or get off that couch. It is real science that works. There's no random plant extracts, no off-the-shelf ingredients, no sugar added. It's all natural, 100% a money-back guaranteed. There is a lot to like here. All right, so I know you want to give it a try now. Here's how you get it. Get 15% off your first order of ZBiotics pre-alcohol prebiotic by clicking the link in the description box and use my code MASHANDDRUM at checkout. Go to zbiotics.com/mashanddrum or scan this little handy QR code on the screen right now and get 15% off your very first order. So scan that QR code, go grab some now, and thanks to ZBiotics and to all of you watching for making these sponsors happen. Cheers, guys. So last year, Master Distiller Dan McKee and Master of Maturation Andrew Wilson at Michter's said that while the 10-year was good last year, they thought one more year of maturation would make it extraordinary. According to Andrew Wilson, the additional time in the cask has complemented this release, creating an experience that builds to the finish. Now, Dan McKee added some interesting tidbits, saying last year when he tasted it, it was already well over 10 years old, and also thought it would be exceptional with one more year in the barrel. Now, generally, Michter's 10-year does contain bourbon well above the 10-year age statement that's indicated, which does play into the high price point. So to finish off the stats, the 2023 10-year Michter single barrel bourbon is bottled at 94.4 proof with a price of $185 per 750 milliliter bottle. So let's see if I could pinpoint kind of an age range here and then, see if I'm a fan of it this year for 2023. I've always been on the side of things that Michter's 10-year is too overpriced for what you get, being, sub 95 proof. I mean, by a little bit, but it's still sub 95 proof. You're asking folks to pay almost $200. Practically $200 for this bottle. And yes, even though there's older bourbon in the bottle, older than 10 years, well above 10 years apparently, for the 2023 release, there's probably a good chance not everybody knows that. So let's go to the nose. I'll say this, the nose right now, I don't know if the palate's gonna be this good, but the nose has got me. This is about as good as it gets when you talk about a well-aged bourbon and the flavors you get here. I mean, there's everything here, guys, from obviously the oak is there, man, leather, sweet tobacco, a huge just bursts of toffee and brown sugar. You get like your vanilla custards, and that brown sugar caramel note is just really rich. But you could definitely smell this has some age to it. Like if I'm nosing this, I may guess this is a 15 to 16-year-old product. Maybe even 17. The nose is really, the nose comes off not even a little bit over oaked. It's very sweet to balance out the oak, which is maybe what they were looking for. All right, I gotta try it. I'm just hoping it tastes as good as it smells. All right, guys, cheers. Wow, I got this really beautiful, like, dark chocolate note on the very, very back end of it. But wow. So I need to, you know, just calm my expectations here, because that first sip was delicious. And I don't think I've had that burst of a flavor from a Michter's 10 in a long time, but let me go for a second sip. So one thing that this has that past Michter's 10 years hasn't had is a viscosity and a finish to it. Generally, to me, these came off very thin. It's not really the case here this year. Wow. This is very good for a Michter's 10. It goes from like this rich sweet oak into all this just onslaught of sweet flavors. And this hasn't really even opened up yet. And it has this sneaky finished spice to it on the back end of it, which I did not expect. Generally, these do not give me a finish. I mean, you can go back at other videos I've done of Michter's 10. I've never really recently, you know, been a fan. It's good bourbon, but I always thought it was way too high price for what you were getting. This one so far is impressing me a little bit. I don't know if it's just that good, or is it because I'm thinking of what the past Michter's 10 years have tasted like. Now, there is a big oak influence here. It's a tad bit drying, but I don't mind it because there's so much sweet in the mid palate. It kind of goes from, there's a little bit of a nuttiness quality too that I'm starting to pick up too, like this chocolate covered peanut type thing. A little hint of dark fruit, could be like a black cherry type thing, kind of mixed, intermingled in there. Pure vanilla custard, caramel, brown sugar, a little bit of toffee, some leather, sweet tobacco. It's everything that you would expect from an aged bourbon, a well-aged bourbon. And you know, and the kicker on this is that there actually is a little bit of a finish here. There's this little bit of like this oak spiciness just on the very back end of my tongue. Doesn't really get to here. It doesn't have that type of heat. Again, it's only 94.4 proof. And sip to sip, it's staying consistent. The biggest problems I had with Michter's 10 year is that the more you sip it, the flatter and the more uninteresting it gets. This, however, is staying, wow. I did not expect this. I thought I was just gonna be another disappointing Michter's 10 year release, but this one is, I'm digging this. There's no, now again, like Michter's, we don't know where Michter's is sourcing their higher age stuff. So you try to find some nuance to figure out like what distillery could be. You know, there's some rumors of some distilleries that they could be sourcing from, but this particular bottle isn't really going one way or the other. Like if it's Brown-Forman, you look for a little banana. If it's Heaven Hill or Beam, you look for a little nuttiness. I did pick up a little nuttiness in it, but this isn't coming off like typical any of that. So, I mean, it's just a really, really well put together, well matured bourbon. You know what? More of that toffee is coming out. This is getting sweeter. I'm loving this. Who would have thought? This bottle of Michter's 10 is really good. All right, let's go to the final breakdown on this one, guys. All right, guys, final breakdown time on the Michter's 10-year single barrel for 2023. Price, $185. Secondary market, I haven't really seen these too much, but generally if I go to a liquor store and they have them upcharged, generally they're anywhere from $250 to $300 for the highest. Availability is gonna be limited with anything Michter's. Value for this one. Value is pretty easy. I always say low value, and I'm gonna still say low value, and this is why. Yes, 10 years on the label. It's a nice 10-year age statement, but you know, if you don't read the press releases or the information that's you know linked to this bottle, the regular consumer, the average consumer, wouldn't know that there's much older whiskey in this bottle. So there's a part of me that wishes, you know, Michter would just come out and let us know what the age is of the whiskey in this bottle. Maybe that would help with the value of it. Thinking, okay, well, if I know that there's 16, 17, 18-year-old whiskey in this bottle, that might be a little bit less of a, you know, a little less of a hurt on my wallet if I know that's the age and the price being $185. The most I pay, I really like this bottle. And again, these are single barrels. For this bottle in particular, what's the most I pay for that? I would buy another one of those at retail, $185. Do I wish it was cheaper? Sure, but Michter's has always been expensive, and it's not like that they're gonna be reducing prices anytime soon. All right, alternatives. This one I was racking my brain a little bit here. I mean, this actually comes off like an older, you know, rhetoric, like one of the Orphan Barrel rhetoric releases. Those high age statements with a little bit of a lower proof. Also, if there's anything that's available that could maybe get close to this in this realm, maybe the Remus Repeal Reserve batches from NGP or Ross and Squibb, whatever you want to call them. You know, those you could usually find for about $100. Those have generally high age statements on them. Now, we don't know what the age on this is, but I think the age on this is actually pretty substantial. All right, is it a recommend? Is it a skip? Try before you buy, or buy, back it up. I think this lands right in buy. I think asking anyone to back it up is gonna be, it's expensive. But if you can find this at retail, talking $185, going in knowing that there is some higher aged whiskey in this bottle, some higher aged bourbon, I think anyone that tries this is gonna be really happy. Look, a lot of you watching probably ran out and bought Knob Creek 18 last year. And that was what, $170, $180 bottle? This is not much more than that. And even though this does not say 18 on the label, I have a feeling that there's some whiskey in here that goes that high, maybe even higher than 18, because it really comes off that way. But this is richer in texture. It's got a lot more flavor going on than I remember the Knob Creek 18. I'll have to do a double base episode on it just to see which one I like more. But as far as 2023 Michter's 10-year single barrel for the first time ever, is it a recommend? Yes. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the review for the return of the Michter's 10-year single barrel for 2023. Hope you liked it. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Let me know down in the comments if this one has piqued your interest. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. I'm going to drink the shit out of this. Cheers, guys.